I'm good old Maurice. This is Zylofinn. Together, we're going to show you an arena team that can defeat everything on your shard. This includes the Zols, the triple cleanses, the triple Zetas, the Chase teams, anything you can think of. This team can beat it and beat it at a high percentage rate. And since we have him open, the first component of this team is going to actually be Zylofinn. He's going to be your leader. And you'll notice his Zeta leadership is rather lengthy, but for the purpose of this particular comp we're going to be discussing, we're only going to be concerned with the offense and defense bonus at the top that applies to the resistance. In this case, it's only going to be Poe and Finn, but our other three guys will be getting 15% offense and 30% defense. And then also, what the Zeta actually does is it gives all the resistance characters 35% turn meter and reduces their cooldown by 1 every time you pop and expose on an enemy. If you're not running a Sith team in Arena, you know we all need a little cleanse in our lives, and Finn is actually a cleanser if you put an Omega on his Hold the Align ability. He dispels all the buffs from all the allies, and also, when he does this move, he gives Poe Dameron and himself heal over time, a 20% heal over time for 2 turns. Finn and Poe are kind of like a defensive wigs almost. They synergize with each other, and they trade the taunt back and forth, and they benefit from this heal over time that Finn can do, and he also gives himself advantage and defense up. Now you can make the case that every other cleanser in the game is probably a better cleanser than Finn, and I would agree with you. But Finn is the only one that has a targetable stun move called Takedown. It exposes an enemy for 2 turns, and also 80% chance to stun them for 1 turn. One of the key components to making this arena team tick is not only survivability, but the ability to control the battle. And there's what better way to do that than with stun mechanic. This is going to be one of your 2 stuns in the team, and then you can also utilize Finn's leader ability with some more expose. So his stun paired with his ability to cleanse, also paired with the cooldown from his leadership ability, makes him able to adapt to any situation. He can either cleanse or stun. Essentially, if it's done correctly every turn, so he's ready to go. And now we'll take a look at real quick just how to mod him. I've got him stacked with potency because again, the stun is super crucial. Not too over the top heavy on protection and health, and not too heavy on the speed either. Just like I said, all potency. You actually are probably going to want to stack him with a little more tenacity than I have as well. But again, I'm using him just to control the battle and to pretty much keep Poe alive and to also cleanse. He's definitely a support character in this particular comp. Now we'll move on to the next character in the team, and that's going to be his partner in crime, Poe. So Poe, he's been around a while. So for those of you that have been playing the game a long time and haven't used him in a while, something they tweaked a while back is on his taunt. He now inflicts buff immunity for 2 turns, right? So, especially against the Sith teams, buff immunity is huge. It's crucial. He'll be one of the 2 units you have that inflict buff immunity. But that's just the cherry on top. You're using the taunt for the 25% turn meter it removes from each enemy, and also the 65% chance you have to expose the enemy for 2 turns. So if Poe taunts, exposes 3 enemies, Kylo swoops in with an AoE, pops them all. That's 100% turn meter immediately given back to Poe. So what does Poe do? Because of Finn's leader ability, his taunt's ready again because of the cooldown. He taunts again. Repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And you just whittle the enemy down that way. The expose, as we get further and further into the game and mods get bigger and the gear levels go up, expose has more and more of an impact. So this is kind of a long-term investment in the resistance. Nothing too significant to the rest of the kit. His basic does inflict offense down, 40% chance, 80% against targets that are already suffering negative debuffs. So let's talk about how to mod him. You're going to make him fast and potent, and the balance that I find that works for me best is about 245 speed and 57% potency. Obviously, I'd like to have those both higher, but I can either make him super fast with no potency or super potent with no speed, so this is kind of a nice balance for me personally. So now we'll move on to the third character of the core 4, and that's going to be none other than the boring B2 Super Battle Droid that everybody loves to hate. Everyone knows what he does, so we won't have to discuss that at all, but we will discuss how I have him modded. That's going to be heavy, heavy, heavy on the tenacity with an accuracy arrow. And I do have this embarrassing 3-dot tenacity mod here on him. But the higher the tenacity, the more likely you are to ward off any initial daze, shock, stun, just further, increasing your chances to win the match. And after the initial push of like a faster Sith team, B2 is going to be totally protected by tanks the rest of the match. So all you have to do is just survive that first push. He is a little light in the robotic britches as far as potency is concerned, but 51.63% seems to be enough to really land 2 and 3 buff immunities consistently with the accuracy arrow. So what you do is you just focus fire on the Sith or the cleanser or anybody in the opposing team that you did land it on, and you've got the stuns to slow everybody else down while you burst fire that particular enemy. Alright, so now we'll move on to the 4th character in this arena comp. That's going to be Kylo Ren. I do have him Zeta, Zylo, if you will. But on paper, I'm hesitant to say this, but on paper, I'm not sure that you need him Zeta for this comp to necessarily work. Because as I mentioned with B2, he is going to be behind a wall of tanks. And he serves a lot of purpose in this. Of course, he's got his outrage. With the Zeta, he regains protection and deals damage. But with that outrage comes a stun mechanic with it. So he's going to be your second stunner to be paired with Finn. And his AoE, not only does it give it retribution, but it also allows him to pop all the exposes that Poe is potentially putting out, giving massive amounts of turn meter and ability cooldowns to the 2 resistance characters. If in case you ever come across a Zeta Barris, I found this Ragged Cut to be handy with the healing immunity. So we'll talk about how I have him modded. There's a big debate on how to mod him, but I've chosen offense purely because of all these secondary offensive stats I have on this particular 4-mod set. I am running a crit chance on him, again, for the 93 offense. More offense here, as you'll see, 99. And this has some critical chance, nasty, even more offense. And then I've got 2 crit chance mods on him just to further get that crit chance up. He has a stacking offense and defensive mechanic on his unique. And also pairing that with Finn and Poe, I find him to be pretty lethal with all the stacking bonuses and the offensive mods. But he's going to be your main damage dealer, and if you make a couple mistakes along the way, especially if he's Zeta, he can bail you out in the end and just take out 3 guys. If you don't have Kylo Zeta, you need to seriously consider making him your next. He's a gangster. Now it's time to move to the 5th spot in the team, and that's going to be your utility spot. I tend to favor General Kenobi. Gives me more taunt, because nowadays, even if you're not running a Sith team, almost every team has some Nihilus in it somewhere. So you pretty much just you basically want to protect your Kylo Ren and your B2 from getting annihilated. And with Poe and Finn passing the taunt back and forth, and Kenobi, it's very, very difficult, especially from an AI standpoint, for Nihilus to get to either of those 2 characters. And also Kenobi provides a cleanse. On occasion, I will put in First Order TIE Pilot just for some extra DPS, because Kylo's AoE, not only does it pop the exposes for Poe and Finn, not only does it give him retribution, but it also gives First Order TIE Pilot or any First Order unit 25% turn meter. Feel free to get creative with this 5th spot. It's really about your shard and what you have. Those of you that invested in the Phoenix Squadron, Zeb's actually a very nice option for this 5th spot. He would dump protection all over Poe, and then he could pop these exposes and then stun the person. Something in the testing I found, he will hit an enemy that's exposed, damage the enemy, pop the expose, and then stun him. So you're giving yourself a 3rd stun option along with a little extra damage and protection. So he'd be a nice choice as well. I'm just going to let some arena battles play, guys, so you can see it in action. No need for me to talk over top of it this time. Thank you guys very much for watching, and happy hunting.